Good morning, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you're doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing good. Welcome, guys. It is match day. The day has come. Is it judgment day for Ruben Amorim? We're going to have to wait and see, guys. It definitely is a must-win, in my opinion. It's Sunderland at home. We need to beat Sunderland. I mean, I think we've only lost 2 games in our history or something like that in Premier League history against Sunderland. Need to win the game, guys. Can't be destroying any more records here, guys. We need to go out there today and make sure we get the job done. That's what we need to do. And you know what would be great? If we can actually win. If we can actually win the game comfortably, that will be good. You know, that would be brilliant. And yeah, I would love that because I don't want another week of that. It's been an absolute nightmare of a week, isn't it? At the end of the day, isn't it, guys? It seems like a year ago, when we got lost to Brentford. It doesn't seem like a week. The week has just gone so slow, and we've been waiting for this game, of course. And this game should be a win for Man United. I think the tide will turn. I think if he doesn't win this game, the tide will turn. Look, I've always said that he needs to get at least 4 points from the next 2 games, in my opinion. 4 points from the next 2 games will be it, guys, for me. Guys, before I start properly, I know it seems like I've started, but please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and please don't forget to smash a like. And guys, listen, you know, there's some people on stream who haven't subscribed, so please subscribe to the channel. Very important, guys, to subscribe and get those numbers up. Guys, help us with the algorithms. Of course, YouTube likes the algorithm, doesn't it? So, guys, please don't forget to subscribe and smash a like, guys. So, yeah, look, I'm quite excited about the game today. Old Trafford should be buzzing, hopefully, and we can score a few goals. Maybe. Well, I mean, that's unheard of at Man United these days, isn't it? To score a few goals, you know. I'm tired. Look, we've become the brunt of the joke, really, isn't it? As Man United fans, I never thought Man United will be the banter team, but it does seem like we are these days. You know, it does seem like we are the banter team. You know, we're the team that everyone is laughing at the moment, and we need to put that right. And it would be lovely because there is a lot of people, even in other fan bases, guys, who don't like Man United, and this is the thing. No matter what, they they won't argue me with Man United because they have to gang up on me any time. I talk about Man United, I talk about facts, you know, and I talk about the history, and I talk about where we come from and who we are, and you know, and this is what it is. So it's very important that Man United get back to winning ways. It really is important, guys. And please remember, we have to understand who we are. And today really should signify that. We really should go out and win this game. Guys, now let me get in a bit of news about Man United. Manchester United are targeting a right-back from Spain. His name is Juanlu Sanchez. He's a Spanish international, 22-year-old, currently playing for Sevilla. He's valued about 15 million euros. Other teams are interested in Sanchez, including Tottenham Hotspur and Chelsea. But Manchester United have stolen the margin in regards to Juanlu Sanchez by inquiring about his availability in January. Ruben Amorim has made no secret of his desire to add a fullback, a right wing-back, should I say, to the Manchester United squad, considering the light options that we have in that position. Now, Juanlu Sanchez is a very talented 22-year-old Spanish international who burst onto the scene over the last couple of years. He comes from the Sevilla Academy. Of course, the Sevilla Academy is no mug. I mean, it is a very talented academy, and they do bring through a lot of players. In there. And yeah, look, I've said it. Look, one thing that annoys me, I mean, like, you know, is the fact that we were talking about a right wing back in the summer. You know, we were talking about how much we're going to need a right wing back, how much the wing back is so important at Man United, and here we are. You know, lo and behold, we're here again with the same problems. You know, with the same issues, and felt like it should have been solved in the summer. I really do. Let me say good afternoon, good morning, good night to everyone in the stream. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome, UK Rap. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Of course. Big up, Benny. How you doing, brother? I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Sanjay, hope you're doing well. Good to see you. And thank you for joining the stream yesterday, Sanjay. Big up. Big up everyone else, of course. Big up, Stephen. How you doing, mate? Come on, Sal. I'm a United fan. Please win today, Manchester United. Very important that Man United win this game today. Not only for Man United, for Ruben Amorim as well. And for us and our sanity, to be honest with you. Because I'm really tired of this negativity every week in, week out, the same old, isn't it? And I really want to, we had a little bit of a reprieve in regards to Chelsea, but after that Brentford game, the negativity was so huge, you know. The guns are out for Ruben Amorim. There's a lot of, I call them little idiots on Twitter who have fake pictures on Twitter, and they don't even have their own face on Twitter, going over the top a little bit in regards to the abuse and stuff like that. It's their disgrace. Not Man United fans, to be honest, they don't really understand the legacy and heritage of Man United. It's about the love, not the glory. At the end of the day, do you know what I mean? And that's what I will always say to Manchester United fans. It's not about the glory; it's about the love. And this is what it is. And some people are only there for the glory. And that's all they want is glory. They don't understand what the word support means. They really don't, And you can tell by their mannerisms and things like that they don't understand what that means. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. Big up Ephraim, how you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Now, look, Sunderland obviously is going to represent a difficult game. Sunderland has always been a little bit of an undercover rivalry between Man United and Sunderland. Sunderland, obviously, I'll never forget 2012 when they were celebrating when Man United lost the league. Of course, Man United beat Sunderland 1-0, but unfortunately, Man City and QPR negotiated a loss for QPR, and I would say sinisterly, even a goalkeeper has admitted that now of QPR that they let in the goals and things like that. I don't know why retrospective action hasn't been taken in regards to that. Do you know what I mean? In my opinion, actually. Ephraim, good morning, Sal. Yes, yesterday was a brilliant with Mo. Yeah, look, you know what? A lot of chatting, a lot of talk. Yeah, look, it's a great, good to be on their channel again. I enjoy going on their channel. It's a good laugh. But yeah, look, we're the brunt of the joke at the moment. It's very difficult. It's becoming even more difficult to defend Man United, to defend Ruben Amorim, and defend us as a football club at the moment. It's difficult, and we need to start changing the record and changing the narratives. It's not too late to change the way the season is going at the moment. It is early in the season. We get a couple of wins in the belt, then fantastic. Look, there's nothing I want more than Man United to beat Sunderland and go and beat Liverpool. That'd be absolutely incredible if we managed to do that. It's going to be difficult. Liverpool especially, it's going to be difficult. Sunderland are no mugs as well. Sunderland, we know what they're like this season. They beat Aston Villa with 10 men. Or they drew with Aston Villa with 10 men, didn't they? And that is brilliant considering how good Aston Villa have been over the last year or so. So we're going to have to be on our toes today, and Sunderland are going to be wanting to prove a point, causing an upset, and we need to stop this. And I spoke this morning on my short video about how we got to be intense, how we got to be hard to beat, how we got to go enter games on the front foot and try and score goals and be scary again. Basically, we got to be scary again. We used to win games in the tunnel. We don't win games in the tunnel anymore. Before the team even come out, they looked at us and they thought, no, we're not getting anything out of this game. You know what I mean? Let's come out of this game with a little bit of respectability. Nowadays, it's completely different. Teams enjoy going to Old Trafford. Teams enjoy playing us. And I think this is where we need to stop the record now. And we need to start making it a little bit more intimidating. We've got a lot of prawn sandwiches fans at the stadium. We know that. Roy Keane said it many, many years ago about prawn sandwich brigade. There's not enough noise. There's not enough intimidation. One thing people were talking about the Galatasaray game the other night against Liverpool. And in Turkey, they have a very, very partisan kind of fan base. They have a very, very noisy, intimidating atmosphere. Now, they're not the best team in the world, but they always seem to get through because of their intimidating atmosphere. Maybe if Man United incorporated that kind of intimidating atmosphere at Old Trafford, we might be a little bit more harder to beat. We're a little bit too soft on teams at Old Trafford, in my opinion. And every time I'm watching a game at Old Trafford or going to Old Trafford, it does seem like a little bit of a library at times. We really do need to make it noisy. We really do need to get behind the team. And that's what we need to do, at the end of the day. But one thing I would say, guys, and I would urge everyone to do it. There's a lot of people on Twitter. There's a lot of people on social media in general that are really, really Amorim out. And, I mean, they've been like that for a long time. They've just been going on all week about get him out my club, get him out my club. Maybe if you spent that amount of energy supporting your football club, maybe some positive energy will resonate towards the football team, and that's what I would say, but unfortunately they're just there to prove a point, not there to support their team. And that's what I would say at the end of the day. I'm not coming on here saying that Ruben Amorim is exempt from criticism. He's obviously not, of course, because obviously he picks that team and he shouldn't have picked that team against Brentford. But what we have to say is that people make mistakes. And I hope he learns from that mistake today, because those players right there will let you down. They will let you down. I'm talking about the Dallots, the Shaws, the Maguires, the Brunos. These players are not good enough mentally. No. And people are talking about what they see. They don't necessarily talk about what they don't see, which is in regards to this mentality. Man United have had a poor mentality over many, many years now. And I've been saying it for a long, long time, even under the David Moyes era. Losing is a habit. Winning is a habit. Man United have become a culture of losing, you know, and this is what we didn't have in the past. Let me give you an example. Like, for example, Everton. Everton's culture is not winning trophies, right? That is the norm for Everton. So when you go to Everton, you already know subconsciously or anything, they're not going to win match trophies. They're not going to win anything. Probably be lucky to qualify for Europe one day. But they're more like a relegation fodder, you know. So, but Man United over the years, especially when I was growing up, were known for winning things. And it used to be a devastation, the end of the world when Man United didn't used to win anything. And it was very rare. And we used to have that culture, Man United winning, like Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, these teams winning. And we need to get back to that culture because we're almost making it acceptable for Man United losing. It's almost normal for Man United losing. And I said a couple of weeks ago about when we used to lose in the past. I remember when we used to lose in the past. I mean, I remember, like, let me give you an example. 1994, right? We didn't lose much games. And we lost to Chelsea 1-0, Gavin Peacock. And I was devastated all week. Devastated. I was like, my goodness, I can't believe we lost to Chelsea 1-0, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and this is how I felt. I felt devastated, and that is the sort of feeling I want back. These days, it's more like, well, we lost again. Oh, well, you know what I mean? Even when we're getting thumped, you know what I mean? Even when we're getting beaten badly, it's like, oh, well, that's all right. But to change a culture at the football club, it's not just an ABC. It's not just about system. It's not nothing to do with that. It's nothing to do with that. To get this back, to get this winning mentality back, it takes a lot more than just changing the system, right? And this is what people don't understand. You know, winning is luck as well. Winning is luck, and winning is you need something to go your side. I'll give you another example in regards to Man City when they won the league in 2012. That opened the door for Man City. That shut out that mentality block in their head that they can actually win the league. You know, and this is what Man United need to do. Many of those players in the team. This is why, if I was Ruben Amorim personally, when I walked into that dressing room, I would when I walked into the club in general, I would have told the board that who has been here the longest. And I would have had a list of the players that have been here the longest. And I would have said, right, those players who've been here the longest, I don't want them at the football club anymore. I just would have done that because these players have a habit of losing. Now, look, you know, there's lots of rumors going around that they're throwing games, they're down tooling. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I actually think they just don't believe. They don't believe. They have a mental block, like walking around with a fridge on your back, you know, and they just don't really feel like they can do it. And when they go 1-0 down, that's evident that they can do it. That they don't have it. They don't have it what it takes to be a Manchester United player. And this is normal because Man United are one of the biggest clubs in the world. This is a normal thing that it is difficult for some players. And some players have been there too long and they've overstayed their welcome, in my opinion. Big up, Benny. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Looking forward to today's game. Just hope we don't lose power and coast of Ireland getting absolutely battered by the storm right now. Loads of trees and power lines down. Wow. I mean, we don't lose any power. I hope not, mate. I hope not. I'm wishing you the best of luck in Ireland, of course. Haven't seen rain in 2 years for me. I'm living in the UAE, as people know at the moment. I haven't really seen any rain for 2 years. Wondering when the next raindrop's going to come. So sorry to hear about, Benny. Maybe you could send some this way. We might need a little bit, to be honest with you. But yeah, thank you, Benny. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you don't get shut out on the game and stuff like that. Absolutely. Yeah, Sunderland were the better team with 10 men against Villa. Absolutely. Sunderland are no mean feat. No, they're no mugs. They're playing very well. And this is something that I predicted before the season started, you know. And people say, nah, Sunderland are going to get relegated easily and that. And I said before the season started, Sunderland will have a good season. They've probably had, pound for pound, the best window out of everyone, in my opinion, pound for pound. Fear factor is gone. Absolutely, Kenny. And this is what we're talking about. The fear factor at Man United has gone. And this is something that takes time to get back. How do you get it back? Winning football matches, of course. But we can't win football matches at the moment. The only way we win football matches these days is if we play a boring counter-attacking style of play, which is not sustainable, as we know. So what Ruben Amorim has been trying to do, and this is what people don't quite grasp, is that Ruben Amorim has been trying to change this culture at Man United. He's trying to flip it to the other side. This is what people don't understand. So to flip a loser mentality on to the other side is a bit like flipping a big, ginormous rock with one hand over to the other side. It's very difficult, you know, to get back to a winning mentality. Otherwise, every single team in the world would do it, right? Every single team in the world. Now, you have to ask yourself, what is the difference between a Man City, a Chelsea, a Liverpool, an Arsenal, and an Everton, a Newcastle, or Tottenham, a Sheffield Wednesday, whatever it is. What's the difference between those teams and those teams? Like every single one of those players are professionals. Every single one of those players can play football. What's the difference? It's very, very fine margins, isn't it? It's fine margins. How do you go from a Usain Bolt, right, to the second place runner? How do you get from second to first in a split second? And that's what we're talking about. It's not easy, is it? It's not easy to become a Usain Bolt. Not many people can do it. You can't do it. It takes time. It takes persistence. It takes perseverance. It takes a cultural reset, you know. Now, my biggest issue at Man United has always been the board. It has been the Glazers. It's been Ineos. I felt like they didn't back him to the level that they should have backed him. They should have backed him far more potently than they have backed him. And this is what I would say. And if Ruben Amorim does leave this football club, those people at the top, the board, Ineos, Glazers, need to be held accountable again. Definitely need to be held accountable because they're the ones who threw Ruben Amorim into the Sharks. They're the ones. Now, as I said, Ruben Amorim's not exempt from blame. He doesn't need to pick Shaw, Bruno Maguire, you know, and Dalot. He doesn't need to do that, but he does. And I really do hope that he gives himself a chance this today, of course. Big up Ephraim, how you doing, my friend? How you doing? So our fan base is so reactionary for Ruben Amorim press conference. He said the truth. At the end of the day, people will blame Ruben Amorim for it raining. People are going to blame Benny's the raining island with Benny on Ruben Amorim. That's what they're going to do, you know, and that's what they do. Whatever fits the narrative, they have an opinion. And unfortunately, a lot of these people with these profiles with fake pictures and things like that, whether they got Ruben Amorim as their picture, whether they got Anthony Martial or Paul Pogba as their picture on social media, what they do is that they have an opinion, they sacrifice themselves with that opinion, and because they're so egotistical and they don't know about success, because we're living in a generation and that is I want it immediately. Right, they get defensive and they can't change their opinion. And whatever comes in regards to the narrative that fits their narrative, that they can twist to fit their narrative, they will use that to boost their opinion. Because at the end of the day, it's weak people, weak-minded people, weak fans, snowflake fans. That's what they are at the end of the day. I've always said you can criticize Ruben Amorim. That's absolutely fine. I've done it myself. I've done it. You know, I'm not going to be Ruben Amorim, get him out of my club. I'm not going to be that guy. That's not me. But what I would say is this, right? A lot of the people, they don't understand about what supporting a football club actually means. They don't. They're in it for the glory and not for the love. They're in it for the glory. And as Man United, always our motto has always been for the love, not the glory. And that's what I mean. It's for the love, not the glory. Now, we've been through this situation time and time again in regards to the manager being sat. Let's get him out of my club. Get that fraud out of my club. Get that ball fraud out of my club. Get that Portuguese fraud out of my club. The same thing over and over again. They're like a broken record at the end of the day. You know what? Social media is a great thing, but it's given some really big waste men a platform, which is a big problem, of course. And you can tell a person, you can tell the way they are, the way they look and everything like that, that they're, you know, if social media didn't exist, they wouldn't have a voice. I mean, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And this is the thing, you know, they don't really understand about supporting the football club, and, you know, they don't. And unfortunately, they don't help in the situation in regards to that. Now, look, let me just say a few more comments. I'll read out some comments. Big up Mercy. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well, brother. We do basic things on the pitch in offense and defense. We should be fine. Today, we should be fine. It's all about making Man United scary again. And Man United over the years, Sunderland at home, I remember, wasn't it Cantona who got that great goal against Sunderland many, many years ago now when he looped Perez in goal. I remember that magnificent goal. Then he turned around with his collars up like this and he went like that. What a goal that was, guys. Absolutely fantastic goal. Sunderland have always represented a funny team for me because I remember when we beat them in the last game of the season in 2012 and we lost the league and Sunderland celebrated. And I'll never forget that, guys. But one thing people don't remember about Sunderland, right? Sunderland don't like Man United. I know that everyone doesn't like us apart from Man United fans, but Sunderland truly don't like us, right? And I've been at Old Trafford when we played Sunderland, and the fans. I've been to Liverpool Man United, I've been to Roma Man United, AC Milan Man United, I've been to Chelsea, Arsenal Man United. I've never felt the anger and disdain for Man United like I have with Sunderland. I'll be honest with you guys, and it is surprising. And it's very important that Man United enter this game, that we're Man United, for goodness sake. We're standing on the shoulders of giants here. You know, this is what we're talking about. And Man United need to go out there. This is bloody Sunderland. We need to go out there and beat them. And today, there's no excuses for it, regardless what the lineup is. Big up, I said, good to see you. Good to see you again. Kenny, great. Gala atmosphere was different. That's what Man United need. Man United need that kind of atmosphere. Atmosphere is a big part of winning games. It is. And I don't think Old Trafford is intimidating enough. You can just tell by our protests. As soon as they get told no protest today, okay, sir, it's like that, isn't it? You know, we were supposed to do a protest before the Arsenal game, of course, and then the rumors about the Labour came out, and then they thought, oh, you know what, it's a little bit inappropriate right now to do protests. That's where we are, guys. That's where we are, and people get upset about it. They get intimidated about it. They get defensive about it. But that's what it is at the end of the day. Look, I can go around Europe and I can find better atmospheres in League One, League Two, and we really do need to start making Old Trafford a little bit more scary again, a little bit more intimidating again. That's what we need to do, because we're not. Absolutely. Kenny, some of our fan base wanted us to lose against Sunderland. Are these people high on drugs? I mean, they're high on something, definitely, because at the end of the day, to claim that you're a Man United fan and then wanting your club to lose defeats it's really contradicting your own self, isn't it? At the end of the day, you know, and these people have no loyalty. They have no personality. They have no face because they don't on social media. And they're so-called Man United fans, but, you know, they're not Man United fans, because at the end of the day, they know nothing about Man United fans. They talk a lot about Man United's history, but they couldn't tell you from the birds and the bees, you know, and you can really tell a Man United fan. And let me tell you that. And I mentioned all those content creators out there as well. When we lost Dennis Law, when we lost Sir Bobby Charlton, right? None of them said a word. None of them said anything about Bobby Charlton. None of them said anything about Dennis Law. None of them have ever mentioned the Busby Babes. None of them ever mentioned Duncan Edwards or George Best. None of them mentioned those players because they're not Man United fans. How many of those guys, you know, including the chubby fellas and the other channels, how many of them have mentioned those names right there I've just mentioned? I've mentioned those names right now more than they have mentioned since they've had their platform open. And that shows you what they really are. Look, at the end of the day, look, I get upset by games. I get frustrated. I get angry. And it's partly the reason I don't do a match reaction after the game, because I don't want to say anything I regret. You know, so at the end of the day, look, you know, these people, right, they're just there. They're just a body. They lack personality. They lack originality. And all they do is scream and shout and make themselves look like a prat, you know. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of them on Twitter, you know, and if Twitter didn't exist, if YouTube didn't exist, they wouldn't exist. And that's what it is at the end of the day, you know. Unfortunately, people go, oh, they're entitled to their opinion. They ain't got an opinion. They ain't got a constructive opinion. They got just a mouth. And that's what it is at the end of the day, you know. Let's manifest the win today. Absolutely, Kenny. It's all about winning today. Absolutely. Maguire, Everton fans get on like there is the one club in the best and biggest in Europe. No, I heard they were big in the 80s. Everton were big in the 80s. Not big, but no, I wouldn't say not big. They are a big club in England in regards to their historical. They're a historical club, I would say. I think that's better. They were successful in the 80s in the cup. They were a cup team. Unfortunately, because Liverpool banned everyone from Europe, by the way, people don't remember that. Maybe they would have won more trophies. Liverpool banned Man United and other English clubs from Europe for around 8 years, I believe it was. It was actually Man United who put football back on the map in regards to English football. You know, and people forget that. You know what I mean? Obviously, what happened with Juventus and Liverpool many years ago, when some Juventus fans died because of Liverpool. And that's when English teams got banned from Europe, and many teams suffered, including Everton, who might have won a European competition. Man United suffered. A lot of teams suffered, and Man United. But it happened all from the late 80s to about 1990, I think in 1990. And then Man United put European football back on the map in regards to England, in regards to winning the Cup Winners' Cup against Barcelona, and then going on to win the Champions League in 1999. And that's what we're talking about, you know, and people forget that. People forget that at the end of the day in regards to what Liverpool, the bad things that Liverpool have done at the end of the day, in my opinion. You know, Gary, hey, Sal, back in the glory days, nothing else will do, mate. Absolutely, mate. Big up, my friend. Morning, Sal. Last chance, Ruben. 5 seasons multiplied by 36 games for certain players. Something doesn't sit right with me. You know, certain players need to be out of this football club. They've been overstayed their welcome at this football club. I will say it over and over again that many of those players need to leave the football club. It takes one bad apple to ruin the fruit bowl. As I said, I've always said that, you know, and they're infectious, and there's many players there that need to leave. My biggest bone with Ruben Amorim is that he keeps picking these players. And this is where I don't have an argument for, because this is where I can criticize Ruben Amorim and say, well, Ruben, you're picking those players. Why are you picking those players? I can guarantee you that Man United wouldn't have lost the game on last week if we played Yoro and Aiden Heaven, you know, and played mainly in the midfield, for example, I can guarantee you Man United wouldn't have lost that game against Brentford the way, you know. Playing a high line with Shaw, Maguire, and De Ligt was suicide. It was suicide because that is quite a basic tactical error. And that is where I criticized Ruben Amorim. I felt that Ruben Amorim, you know, got it wrong. He did get it wrong. And now it's time for him to change it. It's time for Ruben Amorim to be brave. He needs to understand that despite these players being in your leadership group, they're not leaders. They're leaders in losing. It's like the blind leading the blind. And that is what these players are. They're leaders of what? Losing. You know, they've got experience in losing. So how can they input their knowledge onto younger players when the only thing they've done over the last 15 years or so is lose football matches? And that's what I would say. You know, that's what I'm talking about. That you know, this leadership group needs to be abolished. Every single player in that Manchester United dressing room should be a leader, should be leading on the pitch. There should be 6, 7, 8 leaders on that pitch, if not more. You know, Man United used to have 11 leaders on the pitch. There's no leadership group. Everyone is a leader. You take initiative when you take initiative. There should be no one ahead of anything else. We are a team. And with this leadership group, we're basically telling everyone that they are in charge and you can't say nothing. It's a bit like when Bruno Fernandes was coming out in the media and absolutely slandering Lenny Yoro, but it's okay. Right? And then Lenny Yoro is the one who gets dropped and Bruno Fernandes is the one who stays. This leadership group needs to be abolished. It needs to go because at the end of the day, we need 11 leaders on that pitch because every single person on that pitch can make a difference. Whether it's a goal, whether it's a goal line clearance, whether it's a save, whatever it is, every single player can make a difference in that team. And this is the thing that I would say is also a problem. We're putting players that have serial failed at Man United on a pedestal and saying that these are the players you need to be aspiring to. These are the players you need to be aspiring to what? Aspiring to what? No, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, we're being embarrassed at the moment. Man United are being embarrassed at the moment. And you know what? Those players there, the leadership group, are a big part of that. Absolutely. Ephraim, Sal, some of our fans always concentrate about the smallest problem. Why do they not see the bigger picture? Because they don't want to see the bigger picture. They want to see their opinions being right. They don't care about the bigger picture. They don't care about context. They don't care about nothing like that. They just want to see themselves being right. They want to say, I told you so. I told you so. Look, I'm still waiting for an apology for Erik ten Hag. You know, I told people when Erik ten Hag was being sacked, I said, it's not going to fix anything, you know. There is still the problem at Man United, you know. There's still the problem upstairs. You can get whatever manager you want. You're not going to fix the problem. And this is the thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? And I haven't had an apology yet in regards to that. All these love letters, things and that. People said I wrote a love letter. I didn't write any letter. I just retweeted something. Nothing. They were ridiculous. You know what I mean? And yeah, I still haven't heard the apology. Kenny just researched about Everton yesterday. Everton are a good big club, but not a good club in the 80s. Man United lost the final won the final against Everton in 1985. I believe it was 1-0. But I'll never forget 1995 though in the 90s when Everton won the FA Cup 1-0 at Wembley. A week before that, we lost the league title to Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn won the league. Now, this was a very, very difficult time for me as a Man United fan. It was sad. I literally was devastated when we lost the league in 1995 to Blackburn Rovers. We just needed one goal and we would have won the league. But West Ham played like prime Barcelona. And Luda McCloskey became Oliver Kahn all of a sudden. And basically, a week later, we lost the FA Cup final 1-0 to Everton. Well, we were expected to lose that Everton, but in a way, that when we lost those two major trophies, the Premier League and the FA Cup, when we lost those two in the space of a week, it sort of solidified the stance that we need to change. And despite having Mark Hughes, Paul Ince, and all these players in this football team that were proven winners, Andre Kanchelskis, all these players, proven winners at Manchester United, they were removed and they were replaced with the class of 92. Of course, the class of 92 didn't just come in with their debuts. They were slowly being drifted into the team, slowly being placed into the team. And this is where we were and what we are. But what did that take? That took a lot of bravery from Alex Ferguson. Very bold from Alex Ferguson. You can't win anything with kids from Alan Hansen, as we saw, you know. But yeah, look, Everton have always been that team, you know, and I actually remember the Everton final in 95 because obviously I remember it fondly. Because I think it was a change. It was the start of a change. It was the start of a change. And can you imagine Man United lost the league by a point, right? And lost the FA Cup final 1-0 and completely overhaul. complete overhaul. You know, and that's what I'm talking about. And this is the kind of thing right now, in this situation right now, it's not dissimilar. It's not dissimilar, except we were winners back then. The only thing is we were winners back then. We're not winners now. But what Ruben Amorim is going through right now, it does remind me a little bit of the Ferguson days. And this is why I bring it in. It does remind me of a little bit where he's on the brink, right? And Alex Ferguson had many on the brink moments, by the way, not least the Nottingham Forest Mark Robbins moment, which saved him his job, apparently. So Ruben Amorim today is on the brink. And I think he's working now on a game-by-game basis. He needs to be undefeated in the next, I say, probably till Christmas. I'm literally honest, guys. I think Ruben Amorim needs to be undefeated to Christmas. He needs to be undefeated to Christmas. I believe that, how many games we lost now? 2? We lost to Grimsby, figure about that. We lost 2 games now. Brentford, 3. We lost 3. Yeah, so I don't think we can lose again until Christmas, in my opinion. For him to save his job. So he needs to win against Sunderland. We have to hope for a draw or a win against Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool will be a difficult game, but here's your opportunity. Liverpool represents an opportunity. Everyone's expecting us to lose to Liverpool, right? After the international break. This is their opportunity to change the narrative. This is their opportunity to make something happen, to make history. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. Of course, Gary, I'm sick and tired of the normalizing mediocrity and the low standard. It's not that United are heritage. Nope, it's not. But we also have to understand why this is happening. We have to understand the context of why this is happening. You know, and sacking managers is not the answer, as we know from history. Kenny, Hoyland, etc. Big up, Kenny. Look, guys, this whole narrative, right, that goes around that. Oh, look at these players playing so well when they leave Man United. Look at them. He's playing so well, blah, blah, blah. Number one, Napoli, it's an easier league. He's playing well in an easier league. Number 2, Man United is a bigger shirt. It's much more heavier shirt. It's harder for players to play at Man United because Man United are full of toxicity and we're the biggest club in the world and the shirt is a lot heavier and some people just can't grasp that. And also, we got certain players in that team who are the leadership group, by the way, that who are not making it easy for anyone at the moment. You know what I mean? For example, I'll give you Cunha. Cunha likes the ball to feet. Cunha likes to spin on the floor, spin behind the defenders. But people like Bruno are throwing long, high balls, 30 feet in the air. How's he meant to play his game? And this is what we're talking about, isn't it? And this is where it gets to the problem, isn't it? And this is a cultural problem at Man United because this is becoming acceptable at Man United from the top. You know what I mean? The players who picked up Brentford, he had no choice, right wing back, but Dalot, due to Ahmed and Mazraoui not being able to play. Yeah, that was true. For the second goal, Amorim had no choice but to start him. That's the only player, though, mate. Have you seen Mantato in the youth team? Absolutely phenomenal. Right wing back. He's good enough. You can play him. Take a risk. Alex Ferguson did. Right? Dallow's shit. And he shouldn't be playing Dalot. He shouldn't be anywhere near. Mazraoui, I agree with. Mazraoui was injured. But there was no need to play Euro. There was no need to play Maguire. There's Aiden Heaven. And there was no need to play Shaw. And there's no need to play Maguire. There's Aiden Heaven and there's Euro there. Right there for you. Nice pace, generational defenders. And every game that, by the way, that Aiden Heaven has started, some of our best wins have been with Aiden Heaven. And then Euro should have started that. There was no excuse to that. And continuously persisting with Bruno midfield is a mistake. And this is where we get to the point where you've got to criticize where you criticize because toxic positivity is a thing as well. You know what I mean? You've got to call out mistakes for when they are mistakes. And they were a mistake, mate. They were a mistake. He played the wrong team against Brentford. We played a couple of players here and there, not just Dalot, but even if he changed the centre-backs, this Euro, even if he put Euro, right? And that is it. We would have probably not lost that game. He played a high line with players who can't run. That's schoolboy territory, right? And that is what I was concerned about. And that is where we should have lost 5 or 6-1 against Brentford, mate. You know, and I'm not delusional and I support Ruben Amorim, but we have to be real here. We have to be real here. We have to call things as they are. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And that what he picked on Saturday was indefensible. Whether he had Mazraoui out or Ahmed. Ahmed's not even a right wing back. I don't want to talk about Ahmed. He's not a right wing back. He's been rubbish. Right? And Mazraoui is the only one. And he's not even a right wing back. He's a full back. Right? And so is Dalot. Right? And this is what we're talking about. This is why Mantato, ready-made, right wing back, youth team, bring him through. Bring it through. Bring it. Do it. Show some cojones. And that's what I'm talking about. Alex Ferguson would have done the same. We don't have that player there. So you have to try a risk sometimes. You have to risk things sometimes. Fortune favors the brave. Greatness was not built on comfort zones. And that's what I would say. And hopefully it does change something today. You know what I mean? To build anything such, you need a very strong foundation. And I firmly believe Ruben is building that foundation. I believe so as well. But he didn't do that last Saturday. He worried us with that lineup, Benny. And we have to be realistic here. What was future based last Saturday? What was the future based? Like Dalot, Shaw, Maguire, Bruno? No, and we need to. What a lot of the fans want to see. They want to see a plan. They want to see something that is different to what they've seen the last few years. Because we keep going back and trusting the same players again and again. Whether it's Ten Hag, whoever it was, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we keep trusting those players who've been there 5-6 years. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, You're saying that about the hatred Sunderland already makes me feel like I know what's going to happen. Bruno dropping his head. No. Bruno for me should have been dropped a long time ago. That is one thing. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is the argument that I have about Ruben Amorim is that, if players don't play well, whether they're captain or not, we should have a sub-captain. Players need to be dropped because it gives off a bad impression. It gives you an impression that some players can get away with something, some players can't get away with something. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, and this for me was it needs to happen. It needs to be dropped sometimes. Even I know he plays number 8, but even when Bruno plays number 10, and that is his position, I don't think it's his best position. He still goes wandering. He's still ill-disciplined in his position, and he still doesn't follow instructions. So I don't know why he doesn't get dropped. And he's throwing Ruben Amorim under the bus, in my opinion. He's been probably Man United's most underwhelming player this season so far, in my opinion. Guys, big up Neil, big up my friend. Hi Sal, any chance the Key Smith and Ayoub Abaya, the rumours are true? I think United should take the midfield and wing backs as a priority. Man United are very interested in the wing back, and Boyodi is on Man United's wish list as at the moment. I'm not sure that the player you're mentioning, Key Smith, is on the wish list at the moment. But Man United are interested in Ayoub Boyodi. I mentioned him a couple of times on the show already. However, Man United are interested in around 100 players. Around 100 players are on their wish list at the moment. And I've spoken this week just about Novicic. I've spoken about Sinate. I've spoken about Yarmouliuk. And today I've spoken about Sanchez. I've spoken about all these players. And there's going to be a lot of players, in particular in the CM position, the right wing back position as well, that we're going to be looking at during the summer. And hopefully we do something in January, although I've been told that don't expect nothing special in January. At the end of the day, and to be honest with you, Man United need a rebuild, and we haven't had one so far. We've as I said, like we're a derelict building, and we just put the furniture in. We haven't cleared the rubble, the asbestos, or anything like that, and we're just a derelict building at the moment. Of course, bloody Scousers, be a Scouser, drop a like, absolutely, drop a like if you don't like Scousers, absolutely, guys, absolutely. We are all proper Chels today. Big up. Yeah, look, it's very difficult for me because I don't like none of them. I don't like any of them, to be honest, Kenny. I don't like Liverpool. I don't like Arsenal. I don't like any of those teams. I really dislike Arsenal with a passion. I was raised in London, as people know, born and raised in London, and Arsenal fans are the worst fans. Arsenal Football Club are a great football club, right? Just to clarify. But Arsenal fans, they're so annoying, honest to God. And they're full of themselves. They got as much European pedigree as Blackburn Rovers. And they act like they got the pedigree of Real Madrid. And that's what it is at the end of the day. That is Arsenal fans for you to a T. Do you know what I mean? Big up, my friend. Neil, he's put them in a leadership group. Facts, the bomb squad is the leadership group. Exactly, Neil. Exactly. No coincidence there. And I actually feel like the bomb squad is actually... I think the bomb squad's actually bigger than we actually envisioned that it was. I actually believe that. I actually think Shaw, Maguire, and I have said this for a while. Shaw, Maguire, Dalot are part of that bomb squad. They're manipulators. They're chief manipulators. They pretend And I've said this for a while now, that they like to pretend and things, you know, and that's what I would say. Hey, big up Sanjit. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. I remember that incredible goal by McIntyre in Ibra with assist. Funny thing about that goal, Sanjit, the back heel, I think you're talking about the scorpion kick goal. Funny thing about that goal, if VAR existed now, right? If VAR existed now, that goal wouldn't have counted. It was offside. It was offside by a good, like this much. Unbelievable. Thankfully, VAR didn't exist, you know. One thing that annoys me though, and I spoke yesterday on Mo's show, is that everyone who starts saying that, oh, we only got, if VAR existed, Man United wouldn't be more successful. Actually, no, Man United would be more successful than they actually were. It's the other way around, because we got a lot of decisions that went on where we actually lost the league title to Chelsea with a Drogba goal was about 2 yards offside. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean, I was at that game, you know, and I could tell it was offside, and I was standing on the Stretford end, and he was all the way on the other side, and I can tell him from his back he was offside. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and they still gave the goal, and it was proven to be offside, and we lost the league title by a point. And this is what I'm talking about. You know, people just want to downplay Man United. Every little thing we've done, every little thing that we've achieved, it's always because of that. It's always because of that. Now, we need to remember this about the hatred for Man United. And I really would, if I ever walked into that dressing room, I would input this. Alex Ferguson, when he was in the training ground, what he used to do, right? Alex Ferguson used to go to the players in the training ground and wind them up. How did he wind them up? He used to go to any player and he used to say, for example, did you hear what he said to you in the media? Remember that. Remember what he said to you in the media. What did you see what he said to you in the papers? Did you see that? Make sure he doesn't. Make sure he eats his word on Saturday. Make sure he eats his word on Saturday. Remember what he said. Alex Ferguson used to do things like that. Alex Ferguson used to do it. We don't do things like that. You know, I would be winding them up. I'll say, do you know how much this team hate you? You know how much they want to see you fail? You know how much this Sunderland want to beat you? They hate Man United because who we are. They hate Man United because we're the most successful club, you know, without cheating, you know? Gary, if he picks Shaw, Maguire and Dalot again, there must be something sinister going on above him. There's either something sinister going on above him, which I believe is happening at the moment in regards to Bruno Fernandes, because I believe Bruno Fernandes can't be dropped because he's a £100 million player and deep an asset at Man United and on 300k a week. It's either something sinister is going on above, or he wants to get the sack. That's just two things for me. If he picks the same team that played against Brentford, I mean, there's no excuses for it, guys. I remember the 4-4 against Everton. That cost us the league title. It almost cost us the league title. It did cost us in the end the league title. Really annoyed me that game. Absolutely fuming that game. 3-1 up, 4-2 up, still drew 4-4. Fellaini had a world-class performance. You know what Fellaini did? He had a world-class performance. And they won the league. But that's fine. You know, they cheated Man City in that final, in the final game. QPR and Man City cheated. They negotiated the win for Man City. They negotiated it. And Paddy Kenny, who was in goal for QPR, already admitted it's on social media that he let in the goal. He let in the goal. You know? No retrospective action. Nothing has been done against that. Nothing at all. But Paddy Kenny admitted he let in the goal. So where do we go from there? Do you know what I mean? That's cheating. That's what I would say. You know? I just want the club to be unpredictable after such a break. They're not that predictable. Back to life, back to reality. Look, you know what? We remember the Burnley game, don't we? We had the Burnley game. We went on international break, and then we ended up losing to Man City easily. After that decent performance against Burnley, let's be real, it was a decent performance against Burnley, and Burnley ain't that bad. And we should have been 3 or 4-0 up at half time, you know. And after that international break, completely destroyed us. These international breaks, they're becoming too much, to be honest with you. Just get England in the World Cup and get Spain and France. For goodness sake, why are they even bothering playing the likes of Belarus and San Marino? And what's the point? You know, and look at the Serbia-England game. Look at it, 5-0. Was it 5 or 6-0? Bloody hell, there's no point. You know what I mean? And that was a second string in England's side. You know, so look, you know, I hope that we don't feed into the narrative. I hope we don't do something that we've done and to pick up, you know, the stereotype. Man United after the international break lose games and stuff. I hope we don't do that. I really do. I really hope. Big up, Keith. What's going on? Try being a kid at United were relegated and saw a few years later losing to Southampton in the FA Cup final. 95 was bleak. I was at West Ham and Wembley. So was I, mate. So was I, Keith. I wasn't old enough, unfortunately, to remember 1974. I wasn't born. I started supporting Man United in the late 80s because of my good friend who gave me a VHS tape. And I just followed what my friend wanted, what my friend liked, my best friend. I just wanted to be the same as my friend. And I supported Man United. Everyone supported Arsenal and Liverpool and things like that. And I supported Man United. And, I'm one of the first people in my area in London who supported Man United. I didn't know any Man United fans in London. And thing about Man United, and I always say about Man United choose you. You don't choose them. It's only these days where people choose Man United, because they were successful. Man United chose me, I believe. And Man United chose you probably, Keith, as well. And what it is that people don't understand what Man United is. A lot of this generation don't understand what Man United is. For the love, not the glory. For the love, not the glory. The greatest thing about Manchester United in our history is our adversities. We were made the Manchester United because of our adversity, whether it was during World War II when Old Trafford was bombed, whether it's 1958, whether we were relegated in 1974, no matter what it was, we grew from our adversities. Adversity to the stars, what Man United believed in, and that is what we always were. From 1958, in the tragedy of the Munich air disaster, to winning the league in 1963, to winning the European Cup in 1968, the first thing they decided to do it. That is what true history is and legacy. Throughout our history, we've had downs. In the 80s, we became an underachieving cup team, right? And we dreamed of winning the league, and we didn't win the league until the 5th, 6th year in Alex Ferguson's tenure. And not many people understand this about Man United because they were just here for the glory. A lot of these fans started supporting Man United in the late 90s or the 2000s, and then they only supported them because they brought success. They saw success. There's some of us out there who didn't. There's some of us out there who love the club for its history. Because when the first time I ever went to Man United, Old Trafford, as a toddler, the first thing I wanted to do was take a picture with the Munich clock. That's it. And I still got that picture. I'll post it on here one day. I still got that picture. And not many people understand the legacy of this football club. Not many people understand it. Those people on social media, those people on Twitter, they don't understand the legacy of this football club. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of those players don't either, mate. At least when we lost in 95, at least when we lost the league in 95 as well, at least you could see we'll get him next season. We'll get him next season, mate. Don't worry about that. It was like that, wasn't it? Trust, isn't it? You knew it that next season we'd get him. Obviously, we thought, when we brought through all those young players, got rid of the likes of Paul Ince and Mark Hughes, winners, we were a bit nervous. But after Alex Ferguson became successful, I think what solidified it for me. We lost to Aston Villa in the first game. And I think what solidified it for me was beating Blackburn. I think when we brought through the youngers, the class of 92, we beat West Ham. We lost to Aston Villa, right? A little bit of history lesson for those who don't know. We lost to Aston Villa 3-1. Okay, we were 3-0 down at halftime. Beckham scored 1 goal, brilliant goal. And then we ended up playing, we used to play on a Wednesday. And then we ended up playing West Ham on the Wednesday. And we beat West Ham just about 2-1, right? And it was great because I thought, at least this new team could be proven to win. But the game that really stuck at my head, we beat the champions at the time, Blackburn 2-1. Beckham bent one in the corner, brilliant goal again, right? We beat them 2-1. And I think that's when I thought, you know what? These players have it. And this is the difference between Man United then and now. Our adversities created history. Our adversities created the class of 92. Because I would love to know, guys, if we won the league in 1995 and we won the FA Cup against Everton and we won the double, basically, the double, right? If we'd done that, would we have brought through the class of 92 so early? I know probably a lot of them would have came through. I'm not saying that. But would we have sold Mark Hughes and Paul Ince and moved on many of those players, and Andre Kanchelskis and things like that? Would we have done that? It's all hindsight. You know what I mean? Hypothetical scenarios, all that. You know what I mean? But what I'm talking about is this. Man United need to use their adversities in their advantage. They need to use their pain as fuel to the fire. And that's what they need to do. And that is what we did in the past, you know? Big up, Keith. Neil, The teams that players that play like a team when Conte subbed KDB and he threw his hands up. Yeah, Conte held on the emergency meeting stating he runs things. Garner happy to sit on the bench at Chelsea. This is the thing, isn't it? Yeah, I saw that. I saw with De Bruyne coming off. De Bruyne said that we need a goal. Why are you taking me off? We need a goal. I understand that. Obviously, how he felt, and that's passion. And I wouldn't take that anything, but you don't say that to your manager. And Conte, it's like I said last week. There's no one in Europe, a manager I'm talking about, that I would say that I would like him at the football club. He's a generational manager. He's the manager I want. There's no one there that I would say, yeah, he's that guy. The only one is probably Conte. And that is only because Conte's disciplined, right? But we've had that type of manager, haven't we? We've had Jose Mourinho. You know what I mean? I think Conte would be the only one I would say, yeah, you know what I mean? He's going to get these people straight. But there's no one out there that really looks like a manager that is going to make a difference, make a change. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know? Kenny, Bruno loves to play volleyball since he likes hoofing the ball. Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, with us, Garner, bro, will be tweeting if he is bench. He's not doing it at the moment, Neil, but don't hold your breath. He will do it. Look, he will do it. Don't worry about it. It's early days at Chelsea. He can't open his mouth too much at the moment. He's just joined Chelsea. Don't worry, Neil, that will happen. Lepers don't change their spots, quoting Roy Keane. Lepers don't change their spots. That will happen. Don't worry about it. He will be. He will be writing those tweets very, very soon. Mantata or James Scallon in the team ahead of Dalot every day. Absolutely, Benny. You see, people look at things from the basis of just the first team. I watch a lot of youth football. I've seen a lot of youth football in my life. I watched the class of '92 live. And I think some of those players are good enough, better than Dalot in that position, and that is just my opinion. Scanlon, of course, one of them. Mantato, James, good enough. And you're not saying that, oh, you have to go out there and play 8-9 youngsters. One player there, you know what I mean, will be all right. You know, at least that player, as Alex Ferguson said, you trust in youth, they seldom let you down. They don't let you down. They won't let you down. You know, the reason they won't let you down is because you are the one that gave them their first opportunity. You were the one that gave them their chance as a Man United player. Do you know what I mean? You're the one. You'll be almost like a father figure. Like you think about David Beckham, right? What happened with David Beckham and Alex Ferguson kicked a boot in David Beckham's eye, right? And did David Beckham go moaning to the press? Did David Beckham write a tweet about it? No. Because the reason that David Beckham is married to Posh Spice is because of Sir Alex Ferguson giving him his opportunity at Man United. Because other than that, I don't think Posh Spice would be marrying David Beckham. You know what I mean? And this is what we're talking about here, you know? And that's why those players back then, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, David Beckham, saw Alex Ferguson as a father figure. A father figure he was, because he's the one that, look, guys, if someone turned around right now and gave me an opportunity that changed my life, right? You never bite the hand that fed you. And that's why I always say, you will never bite that hand that fed you. You will never, even if you fell out or you had an argument, you'll never criticize that player, that person. You'll never argue with that person, because that's that person who put you on. That's that person who gave you your opportunity. And especially if you witness hard life, like obviously David Beckham came from Leytonstone, like I did, and he had a hard life growing up. His family were poor, you know, and then that is the difference, isn't it? You know, between some of the players then and some of the players now, where players now, a lot of players are being picked for football teams because their dad or their auntie or their cousin are connected to the football club. And that is where we lose a little bit of edge, isn't it? And, you know, at the end of the day. And, yeah, look, I think Man United should play more youngsters. In wrapping that up, I think Man United should play more youngsters. Man United need to believe a little bit more in the youth and stuff like that, of course. Guys, Neil, sorry for moving the last message. Had Bagger, no problem, mate. It's not Harvard here. It's only YouTube. The team's players go to they are held accountable and don't have problems with authority. When KDB was subbed and complained, Conte held a meeting. Yeah, I got you with that one, Neil. Napoli signed KDB for Man City, and he got substituted the other day, and he complained to Conte, saying that we need a goal. Why are you substituting me? I'm an attacking player. Why are you substituting me? And Conte weren't too happy about it. Napoli, I think they won the game in the end, didn't they? Conte weren't too happy about it, so Conte arranged a meeting about discipline. And this is what we're talking about. You do not talk over your manager. You get substituted. I come from a generation of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer scored the winning goal in the Champions League final, won Man United a treble, right? But every single game he was on the bench. On the bench. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came off the bench and scored 4 goals in 20 minutes. Once. 4 goals in 20 minutes, right? And didn't play the next game. You respect your manager. Antonio Conte's done it. He's a champion at Napoli. He's won the cups. He's won Champions Leagues. He's done a lot. Won a treble at Inter. So you got, but despite you being KDB, having to played for Manchester City and all that stuff, you got to respect your manager. You got to respect your manager. And I don't think, even though they manipulate, even though they pretend, I don't think a lot of these players have respect. Some of those players. I think they manipulate. I think they're liars. Big up, Neil. It's all about discipline at the end of the day, guys. Hey, Daryl, what's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Sal. We need to win. Come on, man. Please change the lineup, Amorim. You've got to flip the switch, and we can't keep trusting these shit play. I agree with you, Daryl. Absolutely. Today is very important, Daryl, what I would say about it. When it comes to kickoff, 6 o'clock my time, 3 o'clock UK time. When it comes to kickoff, I want to look at that lineup and think, you know what? At least he's changed a few things there. Do you know what I mean? At least he's done a few things different there. You know what I mean? At least he's changing the narrative a little bit and stuff like that. That's what I want to see, today. I don't want to be seeing the lineup and go, for goodness sake, he's done it again. You know what I mean? I don't want to be doing that. I'm fed up with that. You know what I mean? And look, Man United need to win the game. Most importantly, Man United win the game. But there will be a part of me that will be very, very disillusioned if we win the game with Dalot, Shaw, and Maguire. I would like to see Man United win the game with Euro, Aiden Heaven, and maybe someone else as a right wing back, maybe a young player, but it's not going to happen. But at least Lenny Euro and Heaven are in there, and maybe Mainu come into that midfield and things like that. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, doing the same thing over again and expecting different results is insanity, guys. Rasmus is a big flat fish in a small pond. Yeah, and this is the difference, isn't it? People don't understand that they work on, they go from, they're like dumb football opinion. That's what it is, dumb. I kick ball in net. That is their mentality. They don't really understand context here. Man United are one of the biggest clubs in the world, right? The biggest one. I'd say, maybe argue the biggest. This is why when football is on and Man United are not playing, they're talking about Man United, and that is why they do that, because they know they're the biggest. Napoli is different. Napoli is a football club. That is it. You know what I mean? Not Man United, and it's much more easier to perform. At Man United, you're standing on the shoulders of legends. From 1958, you got the Munich air disaster, and things like that. And then you got the success that came after that and becoming the greatest team of all time. And then, and that is the pressure that these Man United players have. They have that. You know what I mean? And we're expected to win. We're expected to win. Man United are in a very similar situation to AC Milan at the moment. AC Milan are the most successful team in Italy and are hovering on the mid-table positions right now. And they have been successful for a long time. Obviously, Juve and Napoli and Inter have been the most successful. And AC Milan have been in the mid-table positions and they haven't been doing well. And I think this is very like Man United. We're in a very similar position. Probably worse than them. But they have 7 European Cups, Champions Leagues. You know what I mean? And this is what I'm talking about. The culture at this football club is too difficult for some people to muster. The shirt is too heavy for some people to muster. You're playing up front for Manchester United. Look who's played up front for Manchester United. Look, Cantona, Andy Cole, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Mark Hughes, Dennis Law. You look at George Best. You're looking at players there up front who played for this great football club and serially won at this football club. And this is the difference, isn't it? You look at the right wing with Ahmad. Who's played on the right wing for Man United? Cristiano Ronaldo, Beckham. You look at that. You look at the left wing for Man United. Ryan Giggs, need I say more? You know what I mean? Even you can mention Lee Sharp and players like that who won things, The pressure's rife at Man United, but the pressure is incredibly, incredibly difficult. You know what I mean? For new players, young players. And I feel sorry for Rasmus in a way because he was a 20-year-old thrown into the deep end, you know? Big up, Gary. Big up, Metal. What's going on, my friend? I'll be doing well. Morning, Sal. Your thoughts on Ruben's press conference? Guys, let me just give you some quotes from the press conference. I'm going to give you some quotes right now, guys. Let me just bring them into the stream, if you don't mind. He did say, guys, Ruben Amorim, the worst thing is the job is to not win games. It was the same thing in Casapia. That was his first Portuguese club, by the way, in the 3rd division. And it's the same thing here. It's a job. I want to be here. I want to continue here. I want to fight. But the problem is now. Absolutely. And this is what we're talking about today. The problem is now, which is basically talking about we need to win the game today, of course. Ruben Amorim also said, what makes me suffer is losing games, not my job. You fear to lose your job when you have to pay bills. I don't have that feeling. I just want to continue this. When we lose games, that's the suffering I have. It's not the job. Exactly. And this is one thing I said yesterday. Look, what he said there in regards to fear to lose your job is the fear not being able to pay your bills. He doesn't have that problem. As he said, he's a millionaire. So at the end of the day, I don't think we should be worried about the manager too much, about him being sacked. We support the manager, but, you know, he's going to be fine. He can book a 5-star trip, first-class holiday to Barbados if he wanted to tomorrow. If he wanted to, he can just go there and relax if he gets sacked. A lot of us, we won't be in that situation, guys. Do you know what I mean? So this is what we're talking about. They'll be fine. This is why I don't get overly emotional about managers, because they are multi-millionaires. And that's what you have to remember, right? But we support him and we hope he does well, of course. He went on to say, my players, I guarantee you, they are listening to you in regards to social media. All those opinions, and they are putting that inside because we are not winning games. But they have to believe in me. I watch more games in United than you guys combined. He doesn't watch more games than Man United fans. Let me tell you that right now. I mean, Man United fans have watched games some for 40 years, like I have. You know what I mean? So he probably watches more of Man United than the media. Yes, the media and stuff like that. But in regards to the fans, no. If he watches a lot of Man United fans, I would argue that he needs to understand what Man United are. And nobody's bigger than the club, including Bruno Fernandes and players like that, of course, guys. And that's what I would say. Another thing about the players see what I told you guys about it before, didn't I? I told you about Rasmus, who's plays for Napoli now. I told you about him responding to one of my Instagram posts and stuff like that. These players, they're on social media, so they see criticism. They see it. They trust me, and I've said that many times. It defeats the narrative of you wanting Man United to win if you're continuously slandering players. Not only slander, you can criticize, but being abusive and things like that to the manager and players, because that is not going to help, of course. He went on to say, in regards to the press conference, I read a lot of things that my wife is talking with the media. That is such nonsense. Nobody in my family talks about that. We love it in England. You have no idea what abuse is in here, because you are so polite compared to my country when we are losing. Now, look, I don't know whether he's sugarcoating that. I don't think it's more pressure in Sporting Lisbon than Manchester United. I don't think so. I think he's just trying to soften the blow a little bit. England is very cruel and very relentless when it comes to the media, and they can make or break you. They can build you up to bring you down. That's what they do. But yeah, fair play. Look, and this is another thing, what he said there about his wife. Obviously, there were rumors last week that his wife said he's not sleeping at night and things like that. And this obviously shows you that the media can be manipulative and the media can lie and things like that, of course. Amorim said, and I understand what people think that what would be this team in a different system. I don't know. Maybe this team would win more games. But if we don't change certain things, we are not going to win titles. If we change to a 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, absolutely. And this is the delusional thing that some of the so-called fan base have been talking about, isn't it? This is what it is. The system. He's just told you the system won't change much. If you want to win long term, you got to make decisions short term. If you want to win long term, you got to make decisions short term. That's what you got to do. You got to make decisions now if you want to win long term. If Man United want to qualify for Champions League, we're going to have to sacrifice. Man United want to win league titles. We're going to have to sacrifice, and we're going to have to do things that we haven't done in many, many years, of course, over the various different managers. Ruben said about the mid-season friendly. Man United are going to Saudi Arabia in a few weeks, by the way, to play some friendlies. Obviously, because we didn't qualify for Europe. So obviously, we're trying to recoup some money. Amorim said, on mid-season friendly plans, we have to do it. We knew that we missed Europe, and there's a lot of things to consider. We have our fans, the budget. We have to compensate a lot of things. There you go, to compensate. He also said, in regards to the friendlies, we have to do it, so we will do it. We want to be with our fans around the world, so we will put it all together to do that. If we do not, if we have to do it, we have to manage and find a space to do it. Yeah, we have to do it. And this is why we needed a full Sal, guys. This is why we needed the Glazers in, isn't it? No, Glazers out. And this is why we needed Qatar in, isn't it? Guys, exactly this. Guys, exactly this situation right here where we have to go to Saudi Arabia in the middle of the season, right, to play friendly games, of course. Absolutely. Guys, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Gone a little bit over the time. Thank you, everyone who has joined the stream. Of course, really, really appreciate everyone. Don't forget to subscribe channel. Let me just say, firstly, big up, Sanjit. How you doing? Big up yourself. I don't mind young players making mistakes. Absolutely. Sanjit, thank you for your super chat. Really appreciate it, mate. Really appreciate your super chat. And thank you for supporting the channel. Really, really appreciate you. Absolute legend, Sanjit. I agree with that. Young players make mistakes. Not as many as Dallo, though. Absolutely, guys. Big up Tyrell Gunner. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. And big up everyone in the stream, guys. Really, really appreciate you guys. I'll be back later on for the watch-along between Man United and Sunderland. I will be live at 5:30 p.m. UK, my time, 2:30 p.m. UK time, as we know, guys. So don't forget to join me for that, guys. See you then. All the best for the future. And I will be back later on. See you then for the game. Peace.